make sure to turn on our microphones. We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Domingo, if you'll take the roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Reed, Jackson,
Here.
Lawler, Davis, present, Branch, and Mayor Snyder.
Here. So our study session is to just go over the agenda items that we have for the regular council meeting. The first item that we will be discussing is the second reading of our solid waste ordinance, amending that for leaf pickup. Do we have any questions for our city attorney on this?
Cullen, did you have any concerns as far as that goes?
No, we made a very limited change, and I think everyone was pretty much doing this anyway. It's just, precludes enforcement of the existing ordinance, people placing things in the easement, so I think we should be good to go. I'm happy with the language.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions? Before we get to the meeting. All right, the next thing we will be discussing is approving a facilitator for our strategic goal workshop. In the packet, we had 3 proposals of individuals or organizations that would help facilitate that for us. City manager, I don't know if you wanted to make some comments.
Yeah, so after, I think it was a couple of meetings ago, we talked about scheduling the Saturday retreat with all the council and department head. We wanted to bring in a facilitator to help us with that. With that work session. So initially I reached out to the MML to see if they offered that service. Unfortunately, they do not provide a facilitation. But they did recommend several individuals. One is Marilyn Simonik. We worked with her all of last year to do the Saturday sessions, and then she facilitated the one work session where we set the 2022 strategic goals. And then they recommended 2 individuals from the interim managers list. So both of the individuals in there, they are previous city managers, have a lot of experience in the field itself, and now they have their own consulting firms that do this type of work for different communities. So all 3 individuals, I reached out to everyone. They all were interested in providing us with a proposal to come work with us. They were provided with our comprehensive plan as well as our 2022 strategic goals. So they've had an opportunity to review that. And then they each provided, they submitted a proposal for that work. City administration, we are recommending to utilize Greg Guidance. Greg Guchow, he is a former city manager. He was in the field for almost 40 years, has a lot of experience, and it is also the lowest amount. He also offered to start the session. We would do a little refresher on roles and responsibilities. So kind of highlight what the role of the city council is, and then what the role of city staff is as well. I think that's a great kickoff to that work session. And then we would proceed with identifying new goals for fiscal year 2023. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I don't have a question as I was reading it. He sounds pretty solid, so to speak, and experienced.
He is, and he facilitates a lot of the sessions at a lot of the Michigan Municipal Executive Conferences, Michigan, and some of the MML conferences as well. So he's very familiar with the field and the work that we do.
When I suggested this, I really wasn't think of going with someone as, from someplace else. I was just thinking if we could take a Saturday and do some of the things. But we talk about how it has been and what we would like to do. And how we would go about getting that done. But if he can do that, because I would like for our stuff to be added in too. Not like the other one where they have it all lined out and you go the way they want to go. I want to go the way they want to go, but there's some things that I would like to discuss too.
Yep, nope, he's gonna be here to just facilitate that session. So he'll just help us guide that conversation. And this is a chance for us to put out, what do we want to see done in this next year? So that's what's this, that work session will be about. He just is gonna start it off, just kind of a little refresher. We do have a few new council members on council that we haven't had that training yet that we all went through last year. So we'll just take a brief moment to do that, and then we'll jump into talking about what's been done, what do we want to see done in this next year.
Where are we planning on having?
We'll have it here at City Hall, because it is a public meeting, so the public can sit in, they can attend as well.
Are we hosting it up here or will we be downstairs?
More than likely up here, because he's asked if we have screens, so we do have the 2 screens that he can put up a presentation or just some materials. So we will have it here, and we can also broadcast it and record it for the public.
Okay,
Since it's a.
will we be accepting input from the public as well?
It's gonna follow the outline of our study session, so there'll be a chance for public comment at the end. But we have to follow the
Sounds good.
setup of our meeting agendas. If you know of any, I would maybe meet with constituents if they have concerns, and then you can bring them and we can discuss that earlier in the session. But if they want to stick around to the end, they're welcome to provide public comment.
No, I think that's reflective of what we did last year.
Yep.
I know we met with her twice last year. The second meeting I wasn't able to attend, so I wasn't exactly sure of the process.
Yep, so last year we came and we identified I believe it was 5 or 6 different categories, and we put the sheets of paper up on the wall, and then we broke out into small groups and came up with different goals within those large buckets that we were going to work towards. So it'd be kind of similar to that.
Okay.
So in the package, we do have a copy of what we agreed upon for the 2022 goals. So I would assume that it's going to be pretty similar, like what we want to be able to walk away from after this Saturday is putting together our 23 goals. Like Kaylee said, what do we want to walk away with in regards to moving the city forward and figuring out what are the priorities.
Is there any, since I wasn't here for the 2022, do you have any kind of evaluation of the goals as to whether they were attained?
Yeah, so I provided an update with that. Was it at last meeting or the meeting before?
Okay, that was, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of those on there, they're long-term goals. They
Mhm.
may not necessarily be accomplished in 1 year, but I know we talked about just focusing on the priority 1s and 2s. However, if we're able to tackle some of them before, that's great as well, but really identifying some high priority goals. Those will be our top 1 and 2 priorities.
Do we have any questions, comments?
So which one was it that you were suggesting? Snyder.
Greg guidance.
He's actually the first one in the packet. of
He's the
three.
Rotarian.
Right.
Just saying.
All right, next would be our approval of the rental. The grant administrator for the CDBG. No, we're not gonna do that.
No, that one actually is going to be removed from the agenda. So after we receive the final contract from our attorney from their review, the consulting firm, after the packets were published, they had a few other additions that they would like to see made. So we're going to just pull back. The attorney did not have time to go back through and make those changes. So it'll come back before you at the next meeting.
Do we have to vote to table that or
We
When
can
you-
just remove it from.
When
the
you
sheet.
approve your agenda, you just approve it with that removed.
What is the DBG?
Community Development Block Grant.
I knew it was something simple. Okay,
And then the next two topics, are discussion, only correct, so the asset management plan, that's just discussion item.
Yes. I'm just kind of looking for direction. I know we talked about this the last meeting that I was at before I took my leave. Just kind of looking for some direction from the council on, do we want to go with our current road millage, which is 3 mills? We will then work with Wyman and Associates to finalize that transportation asset management plan. Or do we want to look at identifying a level of funding for that?
And then we'll also discuss, putting grant information on our new website.
Right. Well, I want to touch on the asset management plan first.
Yep.
If you don't mind, Madam Mayor.
Mhm.
Okay, so if we decided to go or push forward with that plan, a 3 mil plan, let's just say a 3 mil plan, we still have to wait till November for that to go on the ballot.
No, so we currently have a street millage in place. It expires, I believe, in 2025. And that's on 80 mills.
Oh,
So they've been working with the city to develop a transportation asset management plan, which is pretty much a project plan to address our roads. That final piece, we're looking for budget information. So we can either take the amount that we receive in from that current road millage, and they will finalize that plan. It'll be honest, it's not very much, not very many projects will be addressed with that. I think we bring in roughly a little over 250,000. Or we can look into identifying a new level of funding to support this transportation asset management plan, hopefully being able to accomplish more road projects. So that's the final piece, and then that plan will be finished. But we know last year, we received direction to move forward with the 6 mil road millage. It did not fail by much, but it does require a super majority of the community to approve that. So just kind of looking for direction. Do we want to possibly look at an additional road millage and a smaller amount, or just work with what we have? I know, also just being mindful of the burden that is going on to our residents. We just did a hefty water increase as well as the sewer increase to support the project out at the wastewater treatment plant. So just kind of having that open discussion and just seeking some guidance.
okay.
What have you all been hearing from your constituents?
Well,
Do you
They
think
want
that's a
the
priority?
roads fixed.
yeah, that's the bottom line, not looking at how or when or what do I need to do as a citizen, but you all just need to fix the roads,
Mhm.
you know. Like the money is going to fall from the sky.
Yeah.
Until that money get them, because I got something today about the water bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing, like, regardless of what the topic of conversation is, it always comes to the roads. You know, we could be talking about something happy, something great, but what are we doing about the roads? What are we gonna fix the roads? So, I mean, that's just something that, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to, where I'm at, how are we gonna address the roads?
Yeah.
So, you know, like the city manager said, we were very close to getting that millage passed. To increase funding for repairs. But I guess it just really is dependent on what do we feel the community's priorities are? Do we feel that the community, if we could get outreach to more folks, do we think we can get it to pass? Do we think we can get the buy-in? Do we think it's a priority for the people who reside here?
I believe if we get out there, you can get past, because that was just too close, because we thought it passed.
Yes, it looked like it passed, but when you broke it down, and I can't remember the percentage off the top of my head, but it did not fail by much what
That's
we
right, it did.
needed. And I know the biggest feedback that we received in doing all of the townhomes, well, my road's not first. It's like unfortunately, we can't start with everybody's roads. And this isn't a problem that just happened overnight. This is 30+ years in the making. A lot. That's what I also heard. Well, my street has not been touched in over 30 years. So it's going to take some time to repair everyone's roads, but we have to start somewhere. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to get our residents to understand. We have to start somewhere. And I think the city's done a great job at taking advantage of any grant programs that are available to address our roads. Fortunately, we know a lot of the grant programs, they're not allowed to be used on local streets. Those are the roads that we hear the most complaints about. So I'm willing to work with council, get direction from you all, continue to work with my director of public services and our engineer firm to come up with a project plan to address this, because I know it's a complaint that we hear almost on a daily basis.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Yes, so thank you, Mayor. I just believe that some of those complaints that were brought to the table ought to be considered. And that's kind of how to give direction to White Men Associates.
Yep.
I think if you add some of those things in there, you will get that message passed.
Yes.
And then also another suggestion was that sometimes this might sound crazy, but I believe it works. Sometimes you got to do a little bit for everybody's area, even if it's not a lot, or a little bit for so many areas. Slip it in there, but have a firm plan to go after that, what you have to get, what you really have to get done to make us where our roads are looking good. And I believe that it should happen.
I think we can definitely tweak the plans that came up with. They did a really good job at bulking together to more than one precinct each year. So multiple areas were being touched, but the reality of it is our average pacer rating is a little over 2.3 or 2.1, which means majority of our roads are failing. And to address a failing road, it requires a full reconstruction. That's the most expensive road project out there. It's roughly a little over $1 million a mile to fully repair. So trust me, we hear, and to be able to build in multiple full reconstruction projects, it's going to require a lot of funding. So we're going to there has to be some give and take. We may be only to do one full reconstruction and some other minor projects or mill and fills or chip seals, other levels of projects to address some of the other roads until we can fully reconstruct.
I think that would be good because some of the comments that occur, like if I'm not getting my road repaired, I'm not going to vote for it. So sometimes I wish we wouldn't have had the chart, in terms of, because, I'm not until 2027, or something. So I think maybe a little bit for everyone, if possible, would be one way to look.
And I think what was missed in that wasn't a finalized thing. It was just what if.
Correct.
Yes, public didn't see it.
Right.
And we need to have more meetings on.
But part of the issue that I've heard was the additional taxes along with the additional cost of the water going up as well. So property owners were really starting to come under a bit of a squeeze along with everything else that we as a city just didn't we had no control over, like COVID and the food costs and everything else. We may have to look for alternative funding, as Councilwoman Jackson said, in order to address that problem, along with possibly doing the millage as well. So, we all know it's something that's needed. I had to buy a pickup truck, so so I understand.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell my car driving up and down these streets. So, yeah, we definitely have to look for alternative ways of addressing this issue as well.
And that's why I asked, what are you hearing from your people? Do they think it would be too much of a burden? Given, what's going on already? And if so, then it's not worth us, spending the money to bring it to the ballot again. If we think maybe we just need to let it rest for a year or two and then readdress. But I don't like Jackson, money is not falling from the skies.
It's true, but.
And we have a pretty limited budget.
So with the previous millage, it was 250,000 a year, or
It's roughly that. I don't have the
Okay.
exact amount. But
Yeah.
obviously not doing what it needs. We're still falling short.
Yeah, and then you may end up having to put a year or two off so that you can build the fund to
Yep.
use it as match funding for the grants.
Absolutely. Even if we apply for grants, you still have to have funds to put towards as a match. So you're still going to have to be able to put some skin in the game.
Right. No, I understand.
Councilman Lee?
Okay, I realize that. The ones that you have to do all the underlay and everything.
Yep.
With is very, very expensive. Now, if there's some that are bad, that you would do like a mill and fill with. Would you still, in the year that comes around for that road, do it over or you would just leave it like it was?
No, that would be probably a temporary solution. So we could do a mill and fill, and then when we have funds available to do full reconstruction or whenever that may fit into the project plan, it would get, our hope is to get them all fully addressed, but sometimes you may have to settle for other projects to fit that, to repair, fully reconstruct other roadways. But we would eventually like to see all of our roads fully reconstructed at some point in time.
And just to add a comment to that, we also can't discount the fact that we have old pipes
Yep.
that run underneath the streets that typically get redone when we redo the streets.
Absolutely.
And part of the reason a lot of our streets are being torn up is because we're having water lines break, and you gotta cut that hole in the ground in order to repair it. So we definitely are juggling a lot right now.
We are, and you made a very good point, but that's why we're trying to update all of our water asset management plans, stormwater, transportation asset management plans to kind of coordinate some of those projects. So we're not redoing a road and then a few years later, we have to tear that up because we got to get underneath and repair all of the water and sewer mains. So we are trying to get the most bang for our buck and take advantage of any and all grants to repair all of that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that some of the ones that maybe forgot or didn't get the information, probably come aboard on this go round to help it go.
So just keeping in mind our time, and we have to leave availability for public comments. Anybody in chambers that would like to stand and address council? If so, you have 3 minutes. Do you have anybody else? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Study session adjourned 6:54 PM. We're back in about 5